Now, what we also need to understand is we were trying to do the staging part and we were getting some errors in the system and we were trying to check the relevant configuration and why it was not working, the staging part, right? So first of all, we will try to push in some stock in it, okay, for those components and then do the put away, the inbound. So we will just be following a normal process, a manual process. We are not going to use any of the Fiori applications or RFUI because this is just from a data perspective that we are uploading the stock. And then we will also then see whether the system is picking up on new stock or not. Okay. In the meanwhile, I'll also change the master data, the required amount of pallets within the PSA and the minimum replenishment quantity and all those things. Okay. So let's see how it goes. So let's start off first by, in terms of the master data, I'll just see what is maintained for these materials. So let me just rerun this. Okay. So creation dates. So what I'll do is I'll be pushing in stock for one of these production orders. So basically it will be these two materials. And there are two ways of pushing in stock in EWM. One is your standard MyGo approach, where you are just the moment you create a goods movement using MyGo transaction for the materials, there will be an inbound delivery which will be generated. So whenever the storage location is EWM managed, so there will be an inbound delivery which will be generated. Okay. Apart from that, there is also another way of doing it. It is through the stock upload method. So there is a particular transaction in EWM called SCWM ISU. So we will not be doing stock upload in a day-to-day scenario, obviously. So this is done specially during the time of cutover activities when you are doing a rollout or an implementation for a new warehouse or for an existing warehouse, you are migrating from the legacy system to SAP EWM. So this will be the transaction. So for this, there is a particular format in which the data needs to be prepared. So it's a CSV format file that you need to prepare, and then you need to upload it. So it's just two materials for us. So we are not going to do so much or put in so much of effort in order to create a file and do all those things. So right now we'll just go with the MyGo approach. But if the number of materials are more, the number of handling units, so in that particular case, definitely we should be using a file, a stock upload file. Okay. And within this transaction, for people who are new to it, there is also this particular option of not posting the data in ERP. That means the stock will only be uploaded sometimes because of queue deletions or manual mistakes. There might be a case where the stock is available in ECC, but the stock is not missing in because of there might be multiple reasons for that. So in that particular case, if you just want to upload the stock in EWM, you need to put this checkbox and then do the stock upload. It will not do the posting in EWM. Otherwise, the moment you upload using this particular transaction, the stock gets uploaded using the initial stock upload movement type, which is 561. So whenever you are using this particular transaction EWM, remember in ECC, the movement type which will be posted is 561. Okay. So let's now try to create a stock transfer through MyGo. The moment I appreciated the speed of the system, again, it has become slow. Okay. So we'll go off with this first. So what is let me quickly see what is the quantity for a full pallet for this particular product. So I'll go into the EWM product master, units of measurement. As I told you guys, so wherever you see this hat coming into the picture, so that means most of the data will be pre-filled and coming in from ECC. Okay. So we have this one pallet equals to 48 pieces. So let me push in at least two pallets. So in 96. So let the movement type be 561. That's fine. So this is 1701. Storage location is 171S. 1710. Okay, so I'm just putting the stock directly on the available for sale storage location. Okay, let me see what is the vendor number that we can push in over here. Okay, let's do a check. 1024 to 2411. This is a posting period error. Okay, so valuation area is 1710. Okay, company code is also 1710. Same was the message. So the period closure should be 10. So 10 to 11, right? What it's saying is the posting only 24/10 to 24/11. I can push in the date as well, right? While closing the period. Have you guys done this activity before? I'm sure you guys have done this, right? No?
Yeah.
So we can use the period as well as the date as well, right?
No, you need to put the period, what period it is. You can put 10 over there, that what you want to close and the year 2024.
Okay. The current period month here, the control record is 11/20/24. So incorrect period in control record of company code 1710. Why is it not taking this? Okay. Now I need to again redo this entire thing because it doesn't have a hard, we need to do a hard refresh. Quickly check one thing. So I'm checking what are the vendors that we can use from an EWM perspective so that I don't need to again re-sift the vendor. Okay. So I'm just checking that. So I'll be just simply using a vendor which is already existing in it. So from an EWM concept, it's always the vendor always needs to be replicated. The vendor, the customer, they always need to be replicated into as well. So there are different ways and means to do it. So generally, if you're using an embedded system, so you will be using the IDOC transfer method. But if you are working in more traditional projects or decentralized projects, there is something also called as SIFing. So for in your project, is it ALE transfers that you're using, or is it like web services that you're using to transfer the business partners? How is it? The customers, the vendors,
Yeah, I'm
guys?
using SIF. No, that's what I mean. Like,
Sorry.
we are not using SIF. Like, I think it is.
Yeah, but then what are you are using? You're not using SIF, that is for sure, because it's an embedded
Yeah,
system.
yeah, right.
Yeah. So, but are you guys using web services or you guys are using IDOCs?
Do you have idea on that? Like,
No idea. Mostly, I
I mean,
think
just for, I mean, it's not a mandatory information for me. Just for your sake, just find it out. How is
okay.
your master data getting transferred? So let's try this guy. Looks like a window. Okay, check. This looks good. Then what was the other one? Do I need to run? Okay, so we have the products here. That's fine. Okay, so this is also 48 pieces. So I'll just take in again 96. So the moment I posted, you see at the bottom of the screen for people who are new to EWM, there's inbound delivery which is getting generated. So quick trivia question. So we saw that, I keep saying that it's this plant is an EWM managed plant. This plant is like, so how do we know that? What is that connection in the system? So I mean, there are certain settings based on which the system understands, okay, so this is an EWM managed plant. So what are those settings actually? Can someone quickly just try to answer this while we are performing this activity? So the inbound delivery is created. Keep thinking about the question. So the inbound delivery is created. Okay. And so what we need to see is that for the EWM system to have it, if you see at the bottom of the screen, again, for people who are new to EWM, whether the delivery was distributed or not. So if it shows that the delivery was distributed, that means the queue has been generated for the delivery for the EWM system, and the EWM system now needs to receive this queue. Okay. So we are going to see, because we have put a stop parameter in the queue. So we will see that this particular inbound delivery will have those contents. Okay. But in the meanwhile, yes, how does the system understand that this delivery needs to be distributed? What is the setting or settings based on which the system will determine yes? So now I need to send this particular delivery to EWM.
mapping between warehouse number and storage location. Based on that.
That is one of them. Yes. But over there is no mention. Okay, so let me quickly open that mapping up. T320. So this is the table where that mapping, which Manoj just mentioned, will be there. So 1710, I'll just run this. Okay, so for these two storage locations, this is the warehouse number which is mapped. But where is this mentioned that this is an EWM managed warehouse? It's not mentioned, right? It can be a WM warehouse also.
Second one will be the document mapping based upon
Document mapping. Document type mapping is basically for the delivery to be successfully replicated in EWM, but it is not a criteria for the delivery for the triggering of the queue. Document mapping, yes, you're right, because the document types in EWM and the document types in ECC, we need to map it together. That suppose ABC is equal to EFG, but that is for your system to convert the delivery in EWM. But for the trigger, for the queue to be generated, that is not a mandatory requirement. That is a requirement in EWM, in the EWM system. Don't be confused. Again, it's a different logical system within the same system. So the question is, how does the system understand key? Okay, now I have to send the queue to EWM. This is not a WM managed warehouse. Come on, guys, this is EWM fundamentals. Quickly. Okay. So the interest of time. So there is a configuration. an additional configuration where we set it up that this particular warehouse 171 is an EWM managed warehouse. Only in that case, the system will understand that we need to send this particular delivery and create a queue and send and distribute it to EWM. So you see over here in this particular configuration, so I directly jumped into the configuration. I'll show you the config part as well. Don't worry. So over here, you see the system that we have selected is that it's an extended warehouse management system. Okay. And if it is selected as local WM, that means that warehouse, because remember the ECC warehouse number, which is a 3-character warehouse number, is the same thing for a WM warehouse also. Okay. So for an EWM warehouse, there is no bifurcation over here. So the EWM warehouse also will have the same warehouse number in ECC, but you will map it as a EWM specific warehouse over here. And then the communication medium, you will put it as queued and serialized asynchronous RFC. Queued and serialized asynchronous RFC. Now, what does this mean? This means is whenever a queue is getting generated, it will be, whenever an RFC is getting generated for the postings to be posted in EWM, it will always be in a queued manner. That means, suppose the delivery creation is number 1 queue, delivery change of quantity is number 2 queue, like that. Similarly, when it's coming from WM, goods receipt will be the number 1 queue, number 2 queue will be put away queue. So it will always be one after the other. Number 1 is goods receipt, number 2 is put away. Number 3 is delivery confirmation and closure. Okay. So it will never be like the delivery confirmation and closure and put away and goods receipt, all of them are triggered in one shot and the queue numbering is same. It will always be queued and serialized because of this particular setup. Then the distribution. So you saw when we created the delivery, it got distributed immediately to EWM. So that is also something that we can control from this particular configuration. Okay. And then you've got for serial numbers, you've got some settings. For batch determination, you've got some settings. And from goods receipt purpose also, there is a checkbox. Okay. We'll come to it. I'll explain to you if we are doing any of those activities. But the most important part over here, you should understand, is that this is where we control whether the warehouse is EWM specific or not. If we just do the mapping over here between the warehouse and the storage location and the plant, system doesn't understand whether this is a EWM warehouse or this is a WM managed warehouse. Okay. So the config part of this one, I'll use a shortcut. Okay, no problem. Wait a second, just A_T340. There are too many views. I'm not going to scroll down like that. SCM Extended Warehouse Management, interfaces, ERP integration. So this should be under, just give me a moment. So logistics, no, this is not the one. It's the same table, but it's a different view. Keys and RFC control for RFC queue, document types, goods movement, defined. There is, where did the config node go? Just give me a moment. Control for RFC queue. So it is not on the setup is not on the EWM side. The setup is on the ECC side. So I was checking on the EWM side. That's why the config node was missing. So you need to go into integration with other SAP components over here. Okay. And then you've got extended warehouse management. So this particular setup is within the setup that is provided over here in this particular configuration node. So this is the first config node that you see. Configure SAP EWM specific parameters. So within integration with other SAP components, you need to go inside this. So the view for this, to jump into this, because there are so many configs, so I always remember the tables and the views. So that is in my mind. So that's why so with the notes, sometimes, I get lost. So I'll just push in the view for you. So you can directly push this view in SE16 and you will jump into this config. But in case you guys don't remember, that's fine. You can just go into this particular part and you will find the same config node opening over here. Okay. So remember, without this setup, your warehouse is not an EWM specific warehouse. Okay. Now delivery is distributed, coming back to our main topic. And now we need to do the receiving of the delivery in EWM. And then we will also do the put away so that the stock is available for us to push it into the production supply area. Yeah. So we quickly take the delivery. Let's use this thing over here. So as I mentioned, I'll be just doing a manual goods receipt and put away. So let's see. We might face some issues over here as well. Let's see what happens. Okay. The delivery has not landed over here. Can someone tell me why quickly? The delivery is distributed, but it has not landed in either.
The queue must be there.
Yes. Very good. Because we've put the stock queue parameter. So the queue is stuck over here. So I'll just execute this queue. Okay, great. So we've got an error now. So get this error. So what it says is that the document type that we are using to post this delivery in. So I think one of you mentioned that we need to do the mapping of the document types, right? So what happens is that, see, so delivery for the triggering point of the delivery, as I told you, the document type mapping is not required. But yes, when it wants to convert the delivery in the EWM system, then it will have this requirement. So this is where it stopped us. Okay, so it has provided us the config node as well. So let's just jump in Extended Warehouse Management. Okay, so the document type. Okay, perfect. So what we can do is that we can just reset this queue and we'll try to see whether it gets executed again. No, it's giving us the same errors. Okay, let's try again. So we have resolved the document type issue. Now it's the item type. Okay, so let's resolve that as well. So let's see what is the error message exactly again in the SLG1 log. You guys will not face it in your current project, these kind of issues, but you will face it if you're doing a new implementation or a new rollout. So you'll be facing these kind of things. So what it is saying, no item type found for delivery item category DIGN for the system S4H 100. So you see what is the issue over here. So the business system mapping, which has been done in this system, the business system mapping has not been done. Now, what exactly is this business system? So the business system is basically your logical systems, which are defined in the system, which are defined in the EWM framework. Now, when you talk about logical systems, when you see a decentralized environment, there'll be always two logical systems. Okay, but over here there is just one business system defined, since this is an embedded environment. So let me just quickly show you. So if you want to quickly identify that, so you can just simply go over here. This is the table /SCMB/T BUS SYS. So this is the business system table. So if you execute this, so you will find that so basically this particular logical system is considered as the ECC system over here. But whenever you have a decentralized environment, you'll always find the two logical systems being defined in the system, the ECC system as well as the system. Okay. So whenever you guys get some time, go into this table and check in your current system how many logical systems are there. Okay. Now what we'll do a mapping. So the system is telling us that there is no mapping between the S4HANA environment and this. Now one thing we also need to know, that the mapping needs to be also aligned with our document type. Okay, so for us, we are not using INBI. So INBI is basically the document type which is used for inbound delivery coming in from production. Okay, so if you see, this is the inbound delivery notification GR production. So we'll not be using this. Okay, so we'll be using INB, inbound delivery. And with that, we will do a mapping of an item category. Okay, so I'll just copy this. So the item type, document type is DI, the item category is DIGN, that's fine. And inbound delivery document type will be INB. So I will push in the system, the business system, and the EWM delivery item type, sorry. Okay, now it should be fine. So the queue is executing. It generally doesn't take so much of time. In your actual system, it will not be like this. So if you guys are even trying to do any sort of test like this in your development system, it will be very, very fast. In your client's development system, it will not be like this. So it's done. So now we would be able to see the delivery finally in the inbound delivery screen in it. Okay, so we have got both the components over here. So we will do the goods receipt. And one thing we can also do is we will pack it into handling units. So we have not set up the packaging specification. If you set up the packaging specification, the system will automatically do the packing of the material. So the moment the inbound delivery lands up in EWM, it will automatically create the handling units based on the packaging specification. So for us, one pallet is 48 pieces. So it will create a pallet for like 4 pallets for this. So we've got 96 pieces. So this is 2 pallets. This is another 96 pieces for 2 pallets. What we can do, we can quickly try to create packaging specification for both the products. And we will, so that for you guys also, especially people who are new to EWM, They will also understand how packaging specifications work, how it is created, and then how we can utilize them as well. Are you guys okay with that approach, or you want me to just do a manual packing and then go ahead with this? You want to see how the packaging specification is done? It's up to you guys.
Yes, we want to see.
Okay, let me close a few session because it's very confusing now with all these things up. Okay, so I'll just use for a full palette. Okay, so the packaging specification is created. We need to go inside now. So what we'll do. So over here, what I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to set up the packaging specification. So going inside, so when we are creating packaging specification for a full palette, we will have to provide certain details like in terms of the quantity. So if you see over here, when I've pushed in one pallet, automatically the system has picked up 48 pieces from the alternative units of measurement that is being maintained. Okay, so in the EWM product master also, there is this alternative unit of measurement which is coming in from the material master in ECC, and based on that, the system does this calculation, this bringing in. Okay, so the next part that we need to perform over here is the providing the details of the packaging material. Okay, so now this is important because we need to specify in the system what is the packaging material that will be used, whether it is boxes, bottles, cartons, or whatever. Euro pallet, which one. So that particular packaging material type we need to provide over here. So now whether it's a main packaging material, is an auxiliary packaging material, that is also something which you can decide and create. And you can have multiple levels of packaging as well. When we say multiple levels of packaging, that means when we talk about a pallet, so inside the pallet, you can have boxes. Inside the big boxes, you can have smaller cartons. So there can be multiple levels of packaging within one big pallet. So you can create those multiple levels over here. You can have multiple levels and the system will determine and do the packaging accordingly. So for each level, you can specify the packaging material as well. So over here, what I'll do, I need to see what is the existing material which is available for packaging. So these are the following materials that are available for packaging. So let us see which one we can use. Let me try using this one. Okay, that's fine. Now create volume and dimension. So another important thing is over here. So the system again, if you see, and I've put in the target quantity, then the system is automatically calculating it as 48 pieces. Okay, so over here, the weight and volume will be automatically pulled in from the product, so that we need not need to fill up over here. Right now, when we come into the warehouse part, so over here in the quantity classification, so we will select this as pallet quantity because we want the packaging specification or to automatically create pallets. In terms of rounding rules, right now, we are not going to push in any rounding rules, but we can use this as well. Okay. And then you can also push in steps. Now, steps and all those things come into the picture when you have complex EWM environments like where you're using layout or process-oriented storage controls. So in those cases, yes, you can provide the work steps as well. That means if you're assigning it to a particular work center, that the packaging sometimes needs to be triggered at a particular work center. So that is also something that we can maintain over here. Okay, so you can see over here, the work step is there. So you can push in the step and you can save it over here. And when the system is going through the multiple process steps using the process-oriented storage control, when it hits this particular work center, it will automatically create the packaging specific. It will automatically create the handling units. So for right now, we need it for our inbound delivery. Right, so we go back over here. So for the inbound delivery to have the packaging specification automatically, we need to assign a condition type. Okay, so we will select the standard. There should be a standard condition type called 0 IBD. Yeah, it is over here, 0 IBD. So when we select 0 IBD, so we will be selecting the first option, which is this one. Let's see. Yeah, so over here, you see the first field that we need to fill up is the supply chain unit. Now, the supply chain unit is something which is when we define a warehouse we always have a supply chain unit linked to it.
Hey, ZaranTech now offers SAP corporate training. That's right. Train your workforce in SAP with our comprehensive program. We offer customized courses, certified trainers, and hands-on labs for both individuals and businesses. Our standout features? Bespoke training, fully configured servers for practice, in-house materials, and a dedicated LMS. Plus, get session recordings and 24/7 support. From functional to technical modules, we have got it all. Choose ZaranTech for SAP training and watch your team excel. Learn, upskill, succeed with ZaranTech.
The reason behind that is the supply chain unit has the attributes which defines the warehouse, whether this warehouse is a warehouse attached to a manufacturing location, whether this warehouse is just a distribution center, whether this warehouse is a ship from location, whether this warehouse is a ship to location. So there are different business attributes, and also the time zones and everything are mapped to the supply chain unit, and this supply chain unit in turn is assigned to the EWM warehouse number. This is a part of the basic configuration that we do when we are setting up an EWM warehouse. Okay. So to understand which is the supply chain unit mapped against our warehouse number, so we will quickly go into a table. Okay. So the supply chain unit assigned to this warehouse is Y warehouse 1710. So we'll take this. So the product is the product which we need to create for the packaging specification. So we'll just copy paste this. Okay. And then we will save this. Other important thing that we need to do, we check one thing. So over here, the target quantity is here. One thing that is important is the HU creation. Yeah. So this checkbox need to be activated. Otherwise, the handling unit will not be created. Okay. Even if you have maintained everything. So that is very important. So what we'll do now, we'll just go back. We can activate it over from there as well. Let's try from here. Okay. Perfect. So our packaging specification is activated now for this particular product. So let's see. Go back into our inbound delivery. Okay. Let me see the first item. So if I click on this particular icon, I would expect that the system should be able to create anything. No, it is not able. No determination procedure, document type PDI, INB. Perfect. So this is what I needed. So we need to go into SPRO. The good thing about this is that you guys are also seeing the some of the important configuration which is required. So we will quickly do that as well now. So we go inside the configuration and we will see what is the packaging specification mapping process, which it is saying is not there right now. So if you see over here, it is saying that no determination procedure. So it's not about the packaging specification basically, but it's more about the packaging specification profile. If you're using the Unified Packaging Engine, so no packaging specification or UPB engine was found. Missing for document type or determination procedure for the packaging specification has not been defined. So what it is saying is that we should go into goods receipt process, inbound delivery, define document types for inbound delivery process. So if you see over here, the config which we went into was the same config, goods receipt process, inbound delivery, define document types for inbound delivery process, right? So we'll go in. So the combination for us is PDI INB. So PDI INB, so it should be this one. Okay. So we don't have any packaging material proposal procedure. Let's see. This is fine. Okay. Let me just go out. Remember this particular transaction, the standard EWM transaction for inbound deliveries. So when you get an error, you need to do a hard refresh. So you need to again run the transaction and then come out and then go in again. Okay. So the refresh icons are there, but it doesn't refresh somehow. It doesn't do a hard refresh. Okay. So I've been using EWM version since EWM 7.0, and this is something which I have seen from the very beginning. So I don't know why SAP has not come up with a change for this, but this is what it is. So I think the system is trying to do the packaging. Let's see. Yes. So it was successful. So you see the system has created 2 pallets over here. Okay. So these 2 pallets are based. So this is based on the packaging specification that we had created earlier. So we had created, so next time when any inbound delivery is coming in, the system will automatically create. We don't have to even go inside this particular window of packing. Okay. But this time, since the inbound delivery was already created, and after that we had created the packaging specification and activated it. That's why we had to come into this window to do the packing. Okay. So we'll quickly create a packaging specification for this product as well. So please bear with me for this. So again, we'll go back to the pack spec transaction, click on the new, this thing. So for pack spec, So I will just, instead of 502, it will be 503. The packaging specification group will be SAP. Press enter, go inside. Okay, I'll just select the 0 IBD condition type. So this time I'm doing it a bit faster because I don't need to do the explanation overall once again. So I'll again be pushing in the supply chain unit. I'll show you guys the supply chain unit business attributes as well. So after this, we need to push in the product, which is this one. Okay, then we go inside, push in the product once again. Okay, so this is again picked it up. Packaging material. Okay, weight, volume, and dimension is fine. We will select the pallet quantity. That's it. So I will just click on save and then activate. It's a simple thing. It's just in terms of activation. But if you don't activate, it's not going to work. Okay. Also, another thing that I will quickly, although this is not a part of your curriculum, I'll quickly cover it so that you will understand. So this particular condition type you see. So the moment we select this condition type, you saw there are 3 access sequences it showed us and 3 tables. So it is the standard condition technique that we have across all modules in SAP, in sales and distribution and materials management. So I'm not sure whether in PP we have condition technique, but there's the same condition technique which is being used in EWM as well. So you have condition types, access sequences, condition tables, and condition records. So now this particular view that you see for the supply chain unit, the product, so this is a part of that particular table. You can define your own table as well, based on different key field combinations, and you can create your Z condition type as well. System allows you to do that. Okay. So in your project, your package, if you can check what is the packaging specification condition type, it might be a Z condition type as well. So check it out. Okay. Or they might be using the standard ones as well. So now once we are done with this, we have activated for this one as well, 503. So the expectation is that now, when we do it for 503 as well, automatically the system should do the packing as well. Yes, it has done it. So we'll save it. So if you guys remember, we had created, I think, 3 storage types, A1 HR, A2 HR, and A3 HR. So what we will do is we will try to create specific search sequences, and then we will see whether once we are taking the inbound. So because then you will understand the full cycle. We'll try to take the inbound, and then when we are trying to do the staging from an outbound perspective, we will see whether the system follows our sequence or not. So this, when we are trying to remove the stock, it was trying to pull it from an existing sequence. So we'll create a completely new sequence and see whether the system is picking up our sequence or not. Okay. So now the inbound delivery is ready with the handling units as well. So just a quick question, again, trivia question. So you see this handling unit numbers are generated automatically, like this 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, blah, blah, blah. So how did the system get this handling unit number? How did it generate it automatically? Because I have not provided any number range when I was creating the packaging specification. So what happens is that obviously there is a number range which is running this, and it is creating this pallet IDs, right? So we need to assign the number range. So what we do is that in EWM, so there are a lot of EWM specific number range objects, which are warehouse number specific. Now in EWM, when we talk about number range objects, remember, there are global number range objects and there are warehouse specific number range objects. So when you are in a rollout project, say for example, where multiple warehouses are there, and mostly majority of the clients that you will have, they will have more than one warehouse, right? It will not be just one single warehouse that they have. In those kind of cases, for the first implementation, okay, if it's in the same server system, because certain clients would be there which are very big, and they have operations in multiple geographies. So geography wise also they will have different server systems. Like for Asia Pacific, it will be different. For India and Middle East, it will be different. For North America, it will be different. It's like that. But then again, so whenever you're doing the implementation in the server for the first time, so at that point in time, there are a few number ranges which needs to be set up. After that, it's all the local number range. When I say local, the warehouse specific number ranges. So to find it out, there's a shortcut. Okay. So which are the EWM specific number ranges? Now, if you are already in a project, say for example, you guys are doing support now, and you want to understand what are the EWM specific number ranges, or sorry, the local or the warehouse specific number ranges. So just go to NRIV over here, and the sub-object value, you push in the warehouse number in the sub-object value over here. Okay. Let me just see what it is. 1 second. Okay. And over here, just push in a warehouse number, say for example, 1710 and execute. So you see, these are the different. So the only issue over here is, and generally I'm sure in your client as well, the plant number and the EWM warehouse number will be different, right? It will not be 1710 is the plant number and your warehouse number is also 1710. It's not like that, right? Your plant number, I think, will be different and your EWM warehouse number is different in terms of the naming convention, I'm asking, right? In your existing project, or it is the same like this? Guys, it's a
It
question.
is the same, Rani. I think it is the same plant number and warehouse.
The plant number and the warehouse number is same.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you comment on those?
Yes. Same.
Okay. But actually, that is not the best practice. So plant numbers are generally numerical. They will be using numerical conventions. But when we are defining an EWM warehouse number, so the initial 2 digits should represent the location of the place generally. Suppose you have a warehouse in New Delhi, say for example. So it should be for that particular company. So it should be DLW1. It should be something like that. So generally, warehouse naming conventions go like that. But yeah, there's no harm in doing this as well. But I'm just sharing with you guys. Okay, so what I did was, now since this is the embedded system, so if I push in 1710 as a sub-object value for the number range, I will not be getting anything. The problem is I'll be getting everything, because 1710 as a sub-object value, also 1710 is a plant number and 1710 is the warehouse number as well. So because of that, it is bringing in all the number ranges specific for the plant also, and all the number ranges that we need to maintain for the warehouse also. But we are mostly concerned from a warehouse perspective. So what I did was I put an extra filter in the object name. So generally the EWM's warehouse specific number ranges, they start with SCWM. And then I have put in the asterisks and then I executed. And these are the number ranges that I can see. Now over here, you would see there is a number range called SCWM HUID. So this is the number range which is responsible. So let us go inside this number range. So if I push this in, and over here you see this, but when you try to go inside this number range, it's asking you for which warehouse number you want to see. So for us, it's 1710. And you can see the number range which is maintained is from this to this. Now, in our case, did it follow this number range? No, it did not follow this number range. Why? Because the packaging material which I have taken is not using this particular number range. It is using a SSCC generation number based on which it has created those numbers. Okay. So the packaging materials can be assigned the number range number. So what I will do is I'll assign when I am creating the packaging material profile, I'll be assigning this number range to the packaging material profile. And based on that, the system will generate the handling unit number. But since I selected a packaging material which was not using this particular number range, so that's why it's not a part of this particular range. It is not, you can see our number range is completely different. It's starting with 1 series. It's not starting from the 8 series. But in your client, you would see it's not like that. There will be number ranges. There will be some number ranges which are marked as external. There will be some number ranges which are internal. So the only number range that we have over here is an internal number range for this particular product, but this is the number range object that is being used. Okay, I'll try to include the packaging part, because although it's not directly related to your advanced production integration topic, but it is an important topic and which is integral from overall and production planning perspective when you see. So I will try to include that in your sessions. Okay, so because it is important, you need to understand how that the whole cycle works. Okay, so now as we were discussing, we had created a few storage types, and we will try to take in this material in that particular storage type. Before that, you see over here, they're saying that what is the goods receipt office? It is this particular supply chain unit. Okay, remember when I was creating the packaging specification, I had pushed in the supply chain unit number. Now, to identify what exactly is a supply chain unit, so let us go into the supply chain unit maintenance transaction. The supply chain unit maintenance is a master data activity or a cutover activity. Remember that. So whenever you guys are, suppose in a rollout project, and you are creating a new warehouse, so when you are during the time of cutover, So you will be creating the supply chain unit. It will be a part of your cutover activities for that particular warehouse. Okay. So the maintenance transaction is SCMB slash K. So the maintenance transaction is slash N slash SCMB slash SCU main. This is your maintenance transaction for supply chain unit slash N slash SCMB slash SCU main. Okay. So if I'll just copy this supply chain unit, let's see what are the important attributes which are maintained over here. So the supply chain unit, when you are creating, you would see that there are multiple types over here. What are the different kinds of supply chain units that are there in the EWM environment? So you've got a production plant, you've got distribution center, you've got supply chain units for shipping points, you've got supply chain units for warehouse, customer, vendor, business partners, everything. Okay, customers, vendors. So supply chain units, that means, are created for all these different objects. From our delivery perspective, right, supply chain unit is the warehouse supply chain unit. So let's see what is the supply chain unit type mapped to this. So over here it is mapped as 1002, which is a distribution center. But if it is, you can map it as 1008 as well and 1001 as well. There's no problem behind that. Okay, if it's a manufacturing plant, you can maintain it as 1008 as well. There's no issue with that. I'll show you why. Then over here, you can maintain the geographical data in terms of the longitudes and latitudes for the warehouse for it to have the exact location. I have worked on projects where they use geocoding and they have this particular mappings over here as well. Do you know where geocoding is actually being, where else from a warehouse perspective is geocoding used? So what happens is that whenever you have a warehouse, obviously there'll be trucks moving in and out, right? So you need to do planning of the trucks as well, how the materials will be loaded inside the trucks and all those things. So that is called load optimization. For load optimization to work, there are different tools which you can use as a load optimizer. And when you are using a load optimizer tool, it will always use geocoding. Okay. Now, based on the geocoding, so it will be giving you a virtual diagram, and it will show you that for this particular delivery, how you need to load it inside the pallet. So there are a lot of calculations like routing and all those things, because a particular shipment will be carrying not only just one single delivery, right? Say for example, in a truck of Amazon, it's not going to just take one delivery inside it. It will take multiple deliveries of multiple customers. So when you are loading that particular truck for Amazon, so you want to make sure that if the truck is moving out from Chennai to New Delhi, then all the stops in between, the materials are placed in such a manner that you don't have to take out all the things and then push it back again. Say for example, the first stop from Chennai to Delhi is Bangalore. Let's say, for example, okay, please forgive me for my geography knowledge. Say for example, if it's Bangalore, and then before that we have items which are meant for Delhi. That means you have to pull down all the items from which are meant for Delhi. Then you will find the materials which are meant for Bangalore. So you will never do that, right? So you'll be trying to optimize the way you're loading the truck. So at that particular time, you'll be trying to use load optimizer tools, and this is where you use geocoding. Okay. Based on the truck size, length, width, breadth, volume, everything. Okay. SAP TM has geocoding. Then there are a lot of other tools as well available in the market, which you can integrate with SAP as well if you're not using TM. Okay. Now, apart from that, you also have the time zone. So the time zone is another important thing, which is mapped over here. And then you have the address, and then you have the business attributes. Now, this is one of the most important things. You will see whenever you have a EWM warehouse, the INV business attribute should be linked to this, the goods receipt office and the shipping office. So if these three are there, you can move the goods out of your warehouse. You can move the goods into your warehouse. Why? As I told you, this particular supply chain unit is mapped to your warehouse as a part of your configuration. Okay. So I'll quickly show you that configuration as well. So it's called warehouse number assignment. So it's in the very beginning of the EWM configuration. So you go inside SCM Extended Warehouse Management, master data, and over here, assign warehouse numbers. So over here, you can see the supply chain unit is mapped. Okay. So whatever would be the supply chain unit which is mapped to a particular warehouse, the same supply chain unit you also need to map within your packaging specification. So this is the same table that I was referring to when I was, if you must have noticed, or if you recall, I was referring to a particular table when I went inside and I picked up the supply chain unit from there. Okay, so that table is the config table for this particular configuration. Okay, now let us set up the strategy. So I will go back inside the config nodes. So let me see whether the storage types are there or not, which we created the other day. A1 HR, A2 HR, and A3 HR. Okay, perfect. So what we'll do, we'll set up the put away strategy first for this. So we'll quickly go in over here, let's receive process, and then we go inside strategies. So we are not going to use groups. That's fine. So we have defined this already, SAHR, as so you can see for SAHR, we have A1 HR and then A2 HR and then A3. And then we will put a control indicator. So it's already there. So this is the Paki for Hyrax, SAHR. And then specify storage type search sequence for put away. Let's see, we had already created this or not. Okay, I don't see anything over here. No, I don't see anything over here. So let's use this, copy this. So the put away control indicator that we had created the other day was SAHR. So the warehouse process type, let me see. So that is find Y114. So let it be like this. Let's see if it triggers any put away post USC. So search sequence I'm going to use is this. I'll use empty bin. Now remember this put away rules that I've set as empty bin. So you have got the same config at also the storage type level. That means when we say storage type level, it is at this particular configuration. The master data, define storage type level. But remember, yes. So whatever we maintain at the strategy level will be taken as the priority. So it will not be the one which you are maintaining at the storage type level. So if the storage type level, suppose this is maintained as over here, also the put away rules is 5. So both are matching over here, empty bin. But if I maintain it as 2 over here and 5 over there, so the maintenance that I've done over there against the storage type search sequence, that will be taken like as a precedence over what is maintained over here. Okay, so remember that. So once you have the put away rules checking done, so now what we can do is we need to map the storage type search, the put away control indicator, which we have defined into the product master. So that the product, when the product is coming into the system would know, okay, this is where I need to search.
What sets ZaranTech apart in SAP corporate training? It's our unique blend of expertise and innovation. We offer customized courses tailored to each client's needs, ensuring relevant, targeted learning. Our vast trainer database brings you wisdom from the best in the field. Need resources? Access our extensive training material repository anytime. We are all about measurable results, providing detailed student metrics to track progress. And we don't just teach, we build community. Join our thriving social media network, connecting learners beyond boundaries. With ZaranTech, you are not just training, you are transforming your SAP expertise.
So there were, just as a quick recap, what we had done was we had first defined a storage type search sequence for our Hyrax, which was 1710. And the diagram, if you guys remember. So this was our diagram. So end goal is to send from these particular racks to the production supply area, PSA 1 and PSA 2. And these are our Hyrax, A1 HR, A2 HR, A3 HR, and A4 HR. So we're just using 3 storage types. Within these 3 storage types, we'll be creating a few bins. And this is the storage type search sequence SAHR. Okay. So we have used so what we have done is that we have created a storage type search sequence SAHR first. And over here in the creation screen is just the description. The next thing that we have done is assignment of the storage type search sequence. That means A1 HR, A2 HR, and A3 HR in the particular sequence that we want the system to search it. And then we have defined a put away control indicator. So over here, it's just a definition and the name. And then the final step is this one, where we have pushed in the sequence. So I will just push it. I'll show it to you guys once again. So for SAHR, the warehouse process type which the system will use to create the warehouse task is Y114. The quantity classification is P, and this is the search sequence SAHR. Okay. So let's see based on this whether the system will be able to search or not. But the problem is that we just created the storage types. So we also need to create storage bins. And then there's an additional step of sorting those storage bins so that the system understands. So this is where I need to do the sorting as well. So we will do that quickly and we will upload some bins as well. So let me first, so this is the put away control indicator. So we go inside the product master, 503, edit, warehouse data, remove this, okay. And then we go back for 502 as well, warehouse data. So now I've maintained the put away control indicator, which we had created. As I said, we need to also make sure that we need to create a new, we need to create the new storage bins, right? For the different storage types. So how to create that? It's very simple. So I'll just quickly show it to you guys. Let me open the transaction. So to do bin creation, there are multiple ways for people who are new to it. You can either do it one by one manually using transactions, or you can use a bin upload transaction where you can upload multiple bins in one shot. So to do the bin upload, so you need to run this particular transaction SBUP /SCWM /N /SCWM /SBUP. This is the transaction, okay, which you can see on your screen. Now the template is already provided over here. It's not like your stock upload template. So the stock upload template, I will share it with you guys. Just remind me, it can be, there is a SAP note as well. If you just download that note, in that note itself, the template is provided, okay. But for your convenience, I will just share that template with you. It will be there in the list of your materials. Okay. So over here, you see warehouse number, storage bin, storage type, storage section. This is the template. So what we'll do, we'll just export this. Okay, that's fine. So I'll export this and then I will adjust. Okay, perfect. It's fine. So our warehouse number is 1710. Okay. By the time I'm doing this quickly, just a quick trivia question for all of you. Non-EWM experience included. So from when you have storage bins in WM, can you have the same storage bin number for different storage types?
No.
Yes, that's the right answer. So what happens is that, do you know the why it is so? Why the system doesn't allow you to do it?
The system can't identify the storage type because the bin it having the multiple storage types. When we are doing put away or some stock removal activities, system will not identify the particular storage type.
Okay, so how it works in the system from an architecture perspective, I'll explain. Okay, so when you're creating any data within the system, so that data is being stored in a database table, right? So when it comes to EWM, so there's a difference between the database structure in EWM and the database structure when you talk about S4 or ECC. So there are from EWM perspective, and it's not only EWM, it's when it comes to the APO modules, if you see, because EWM is a part of the APO module, the APO overall developments. So there's a concept called line. So line tables are there. So the moment you create storage bin, line entry gets created. So there are different line tables which gets updated in the backend, and a unique line, GUI ID gets generated for this particular bin, suppose. And that unique number is immaterial of the storage type. So therefore, when that unique number exists, you cannot have with the same bin number, the system will try to create try to duplicate that same line unique number. So it will not be able to create. So that's why the system will not allow you. That is the reason. Otherwise, within the same storage, because there should have been a differentiator, right? Because the storage types are different. I can have same naming conventions of storage bins. What is the problem? Like for storage sections, I can have the same storage section names against multiple storage types, fast, medium, slow, say for example. But it doesn't work out the same way in case of storage bits. So from a system architectural perspective, that is the reason why it doesn't allow you. So I'll just quickly do this. Okay, I'll just drag and drop this one. Maybe A2H, 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 and then A3, A3H. Okay, done. So I'm not going to push in anything else. There are a lot of other things as well, like storage bin type and all. I will explain to you guys later what exactly those things are, especially for people who are new. But we'll not go deep into it right now. So we'll quickly create this file, save a copy. Stop. Okay. So done. Remember, you need to save it as CSV, delimited. Okay. So this is CSV, delimited. I'll just save this. Done. And now we'll try to do the upload. So we go back to this. So system is showing us all the entries that we've just created. And then what we'll do, we'll have to click on this creation of storage bin. So if it's successful, it will show us in successful changes. If it fails, it will show us with the error. Now remember, sometimes it will show you as successful changes in this transaction, but still please go and check whether the bins exist, because there might not be any errors over here in this particular transaction. So 28 storage bins were created successfully. So we are lucky enough, but make sure that you go and do a double check in the bin master, right? So the bin master table is shrim LAGP. So you just push in the storage types, which is A1 HR, A2 HR, A3 HR, execute, and the warehouse number will be 1710. You should have 28 entries. Yes, it's there. So we need not be bothered anymore. Now, the most important thing, so I'll just quickly open a bin for you. LS01, sorry. So this is LS01 is a transaction which we use to create a storage bin, okay, manually. So what we did, we just simply uploaded the storage bin, so it created the storage bins. So if you want to do one by one, you can do it like this as well. So you just enter, like, say for example, test underscore run, and over here storage type you put as, say for example, what was this, A1HR, and then you can just simply save this. So this is also another way of doing it, as I told you. But one thing that I wanted to show you, so the bin display transaction is LS03. So over here, one important thing is like the activity areas. So right now there is no activity area mapping. So if there is no activity area mapping, the system will not be able to understand when it is doing the search, and it will not be able to determine the storage bin automatically while trying to do the put away. So this particular activity is very important especially when you're doing new rollouts. You create storage bins, create or upload the storage bins, and then you need to also do the sorting of the bins. Okay. So the bin sorting again is something which can be done automatically or which can be uploaded as well. Now, why do we need to upload? So the automatic way is very fast. So the transaction to do it is SCWM/N/SCWM/SBST. Okay. So over here, it is asking you for the activity area and the activity. Now, the activity area, what exactly is an activity area and activity? So we have storage types. Now, within the storage types, say for example, over here, A1 HR, A2 HR, A3, there are multiple activities that can be performed. Picking, put away, internal movements. Okay. So when it is coming to your bin sorting, so you want to make sure that those specific bins are maintained for all the different kinds of activities. Similarly, these activities are mapped to the activity areas. Now, what is the meaning of activity area? So all these 3 storage types or 4 storage types can be mapped to one single activity area. So these, say for example, A1 HR, A2 HR, A3 HR, A4 HR can be mapped to S1 HR, say for example. Okay. And within this particular activity area, what are the different activities that you want to perform? You need to maintain that for the specific bins. Because it may be that certain bins you are only using for specific activities, or you are using all the bins for all activities. So whatever it is, you need to make sure that that particular activity mapping is done against the activity area and the activity mapping, and the sorting sequence is also maintained. Why do we need the sorting sequence? Because say for example, this bin number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So these are the 6 bins over here. Now from a sorting perspective, you want just out of a random scenario, you want the operator to first go into bin number 4 and then bin number 3 and then bin number 1 and then bin number 2 while doing the put away. So you'll maintain the sorting sequence accordingly. Okay. So in that particular case, you need to do the upload. But if you want the system to do the sorting, because the system will do a ascending and descending sort, as simple as that. So if you want the system to do it, then you can just use this SBST transaction. Okay. So right now, the 3 storage types that we have, that we had created earlier, we need to also check now whether it is being mapped to a particular activity area. So let us quickly check whether our storage types are mapped to any activity areas. So this particular table tells me the mapping between an activity area and a storage type. So 1710, no. So there is no mapping. So what we need to do now, because generally when we are defining activity areas, it is on a one-to-one basis as well, based on storage. And as I said, for multiple storage types, you can have just one activity area as well. Okay. So what I'll do for all these storage types, I will create respective activity areas. Okay. So to create that, we need to go into SPRO again, Extended Warehouse Management, Master Data Activity Areas, define activity areas. So this is our one was A1 HR. So if I just run it like this, then A2 HR. So so I'm just generating the activity areas. Let's see whether now once we go inside define activity areas again, whether the system has created the activity areas for our storage types. Yes. So you see activity area for A1 HR, A2 HR, and A3 HR. Okay. So the activity areas are created. Now let's see when we go back into SBST. So what is the advantage of doing this generation is that if you are doing the generation, so you don't have to do again the assignment of the activity areas to the storage types. Okay. So now this is from bin mapping perspective. So we will not go into this one. 1 second. Yes, storage type 1 second. 10. Okay, A1 HR, A2 HR, A3 HR, activity area A1 HR, A2 HR, A3 HR. The mapping is there. So this is perfect. Sort sequence for activity areas 1710 A1 HR. So for A1 HR, since I maintained it as blank, so it has created for all activities. So INTL is internal movements, that is bin to bin movements or any ad hoc movements that you want to do. INV is physical inventory in EWM. Pick is for the picking activities, and PTWY is for put away. RAPL is for replenishment. Okay. So these are the different activities. So you can see for all activities, the system has created the activity area mapping automatically, because when I generated it, I did not maintain any specific activity over here. Okay. So I did not select any activity. So for all activities from cross-line stock put away to posting change. So do you guys know what is cross-line stock put away? What is the concept of cross-line stock put away? By any chance, guys?
Put is not in a sequence manner, right? So we can randomly pick bins as per the sort sequence.
So not randomly. Okay. So what happens is that, okay. So yeah, you're right. It's not in
one in one rack and the other one in the opposite one.
Yes,
And then
exactly. Right. So if you see, like, let's say, for example, I'm highlighting features like A2 HR and A3 HR. So these are the bins 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you want the system to first do, the operator first do the put away in bin number 6 in A2 HR and then go to A3 HR bin number 5 and then go to number 4 in A2 HR and then number 3 in A3 HR, like this. So it's cross line. So basically what happens is that the racks will face each other, right? So you will want to fill up the ground floors of the racks first on both sides. So the operator will fill the ground floor on the left and the right, like that. And then once it is filled up, then they will go up the next level. So that's why that's why this concept of cross-line stock put away is there. Okay, from a physical perspective. Okay, so this is done. This mapping is also done. So I'll just run this. So these are all the bins that are there for A1 and HR. So you can see automatically the system has created the sorting sequence. Okay, based on the numbering. So based on the ascending numbering, they have done the sorting. So you can see, so I'm just done a descending and you can see the sort sequence over here. So what I'll do is that this is a simulation. So if you're not satisfied with this, you can run the upload as well. So I will not be so fussy. I'll just go ahead and then I'll just run this. Okay. So my bin sorting is successful. So for all the activities, now let me show you an example. So if I go to LS03 and push this bin number, or even this one which we had created, go to our activity areas. Earlier it was blank. And now you can see all the different activities and the activity areas mapped against it. Okay. Now the next one is, I will do it for the remaining execute. Okay. Execute. So we've done the activity area sorting as well. So now the system should be able to determine when we are trying to create the warehouse task. So let us go inside the delivery now. Once again, we have done the mapping of the put away control indicator as well. So the first step we need to do before we try to create a warehouse task is do the goods receipt. So I'll just click on goods receipt. In complex warehouses, where if you want to map the unloading process as well, that can also be done. And generally, if you see in warehouses, they'll be either using AGVs, automated guided vehicles, or the human resources, they will be using scanning guns or RF guns to scan the pallet IDs and then do the goods receipt. Okay, I'll show you using RFID how we can do that as well. Okay, so the goods receipt is completed. You can see the status of goods receipt is changed. Let's see whether the PPF has been triggered or not. So it's in the yellow status, maybe because this is a test server, the PPF action setup is not correct. So what we can do is we can click on edit, or let me just rerun this again and see if the PPF, yes. So it took some time because system is a bit slow, but it has sent the, so this send ERP delivery message is what is, this is once I did the goods receipt, as I told you, there will be a queue which will be generated to update the goods receipt status in ECC. So this one, if you click on the processing log, it is not giving you the data. I will set it up, don't worry. It shows the exact queue number. So now for this particular delivery, since our queue is in a stop status, so we again go back to SMQ2, the QRFC monitor. So there should be a queue now, which should be here. Yes, the queue is here. So I will just execute this. So this queue is bringing in the information that the goods receipt is completed back into EWM. Okay, sorry, back into ECC. So let us quickly open the delivery, VL33N. So delivery status is, the goods movement status is still not completed because the queue is still getting executed. So you see over here, the goods movement status is showing as A, but the moment this queue gets processed, it will be completed. Okay, so let this run in the backend. I will move out of the delivery. In EWM, in the meanwhile, we can work independently. There's no problem about this. Okay, so so I'll just rerun this. Now I'll try to create the warehouse task. So the queue got cleared. So that means my delivery goods movement status should be updated now. So now it is A. So if I move out and I move in again, so it is completed now. Okay. And if you see in the document flow, you'll find the material document which is posted. This is the material document. If you go inside this document, you will see all the details. So this is the material document which has been posted. Okay, with 561 movement type. So our GR posting is successful. Now what is remaining is the put away. So for the put away to be triggered, we have done the strategies. We have maintained the strategy again. So you can see the process type which is getting determined is Y114. The only problem over here is that it has picked up a storage process YI02, which we don't want. Okay, we want the system to follow the strategy which we have created, right? So what I will do is, okay, so this one, let's see what is the, because, so the storage, so let's see what it says. Storage types, sections, bin types, incomplete. Okay, so what the system is telling us is that for this particular storage type, storage section search is activated and there is nothing maintained for storage section. So therefore it is not being able to determine the bin where it needs to push it in. So we will deactivate that and we'll run it in session and we'll do it in front of you. So one thing that is good is that you guys are seeing from an end-to-end perspective what happens, and we will be able to perform the staging and the put away. Plus I will also try to give you the answers of the bodies and everything. Okay.